Is Brenau University in Georgia haunted? Ask anyone on campus and they'll tell you about Agnes, the ghost who has called historic Pearce Auditorium home for nearly 100 years.
Flickering lights, seats that move on their own, a mystery that no one has ever solved.
We dug into the history, the legends, and the eyewitness accounts to find out who she really was. And what we found will give you the chills.
We're Andy and Lauren. This is Gainesville Who Knew? Agnes, a young woman who, according to legend, took her own life somewhere on campus in the 1920s.
Now, the details of Agnes's story change depending on who's telling it. Some say she was an aspiring actress or dancer who was denied the starring role she desperately wanted.
Others tell a story of unrequited love, that Agnes fell for a music professor who ultimately rejected her.
And then there's the sorority angle, that Agnes was blackballed from joining a sorority and couldn't handle the social rejection.
But here's where it gets interesting. Even the location of her supposed death varies. Some say she hanged herself from the balcony of Pearce Auditorium. Others claim that it happened at a swimming pool that allegedly existed beneath the auditorium.
Wait, there was a swimming pool under Pearce Auditorium?
Well, that's part of the mystery. The university officially denies that there was ever a pool there, but several former students swear they saw remnants of one during renovations years ago.
And this is what makes the Agnes story so fascinating. It's not just one tale, but a collection of stories that have evolved over decades.
It was October 1985. Margaret Collins, called Peggy by her friends, was a theater major working late in Pearce Auditorium.
I was just a sophomore then, you know? And I'd volunteered to stay after rehearsal to help strike the set from our fall production. The director had already left, and I was alone in that big old auditorium. I was up on the stage, folding up flats, when I heard it. Piano music, just a few notes, really soft and pretty. I figured maybe somebody else was still in the building, practicing or something. But when I called out, the music just stopped. Dead silence. So I went over to the piano, and honey, let me tell you, that bench was still warm, like somebody had just been sitting there. But there wasn't a soul in sight. That's when I heard my grandmother's voice in my head, telling me about restless spirits and unfinished business. And I thought, well, Agnes, if that's you, I hope you find your peace. Then I grabbed my things and got out of there real quick-like.
So, who was the real Agnes? There are many theories, but let's talk about why people believe Agnes is real. Because whatever the truth of her origins, something seems to be happening in Pearce Auditorium.
Emma, a young Brenau student, was visibly shaken when she told her roommate about her encounter with Agnes.
I need to tell someone about this before I convince myself it didn't happen. Thursday night, around 11, I was cutting through the quad when I heard piano music coming from Pearce Auditorium. Just a few notes at first, tentative, like someone testing the keys. Then a melody, something old and melancholy. Beautiful, but heartbreaking. I thought someone was practicing late, but all the doors were locked, every single one. Yet that music kept playing. I looked up at the 4th floor window, the one they say she fell from, and the lights inside started to flicker, like someone was playing with the switch. Then they stopped, and there she was, a girl in a white dress, dark hair loose around her shoulders, her hand pressed against the glass, searching for something, or someone. The music swelled and then stopped. She looked down, right at me. Her eyes met mine, and I felt this wave of sadness. Not my sadness, hers. This overwhelming grief that nearly knocked me off my feet. I blinked, and she was gone.
Current students and staff describe Agnes as playful rather than scary. She apparently likes to mess with the lights, flip the theater seats up and down, and generally make her presence known.
We heard one story about theater technicians who actually leave the light board out for Agnes before shows, so she can play with the controls and feel included in the production.
There's something really touching about that. This idea that even if there is a ghost, she's not malevolent. She just wants to be part of the community.
One alumna told researchers about seeing 3 orbs of light that coalesced into a figure of a woman at the end of a hallway. Another person described feeling an ice-cold spot in the basement that you could step in and step out of.
And one time during a ghost tour, the storyteller mentioned that Agnes supposedly loved pink roses. And then what looked like pink rose petals fell from the ceiling. They turned out to be crepe paper flowers from a previous show. But the timing was, well, let's just say it got people's attention.
And there are more dramatic encounters during ghost tours. Another time, theater seats spontaneously flipped down row G, C13. G for Galloway, which might have been her last name, 13 for unlucky.
Here's what really struck us about the Agnes story. It's not really about whether ghosts are real or not. It's about community.
Professor Elizabeth Hartwell taught English literature at the college for 32 years, from 1970 to 2002.
You have to understand, when young women arrive at college, especially back in my day, they're leaving home for the first time. They're frightened, they're excited, trying to figure out who they are. Agnes gave them something to belong to immediately, a shared story, a common experience. I'd watch freshman orientation every year, and you could almost see it happening. The moment an upperclassman would lean over and whisper, "Have you heard about Agnes yet?" And suddenly, these young women weren't just individuals anymore. They were part of something bigger, something with history and mystery and meaning. I always thought of Agnes as the spirit of all the dreams and aspirations that had walked through these halls. The young women who came here to become teachers, artists, writers, leaders. Some of those dreams were fulfilled, and some were not. But Agnes kept them all alive somehow. She was our collective memory, our reminder that every student who passes through here matters, that their stories deserve to be remembered. Whether she's real or not isn't really the point, is it?
As one Brenau official put it, if we hadn't seen all the evidence of Agnes, the Brenau woman would have invented Agnes in some way, because it really does have that connecting nature of folktales and folklore that brings your community together.
Think about it. For nearly a century, incoming freshmen have been told about Agnes. Upperclassmen share their Agnes encounters. Theater students leave on the lights for her to play with.
Agnes has become a shared experience that connects generations of Brenau students. She's part of the school's identity. So what does Agnes tell us about Gainesville? Well, first, she reminds us that our city is home to an institution with almost 150 years of history. She also shows us how communities create meaning through storytelling. Whether Agnes was real or not, the stories about her serve a real purpose. They connect people across time.
There's something particularly fitting about a ghost story centered on a woman's college. These institutions have always been places where women could find their voices, take risks, and challenge social conventions.
Maybe Agnes represents the dreams and ambitions of all those young women.
Or maybe she's just a friendly spirit who likes to play with light switches and theater seats. Either way, she's ours. And as it turns out, Agnes isn't just a campus legend. People all across Gainesville and Hall County have heard her story, and some have stories of their own.
Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, one thing is certain: Agnes has really never left Brenau. After this episode, she just might stay with you too.
If you have your own Agnes story, we'd love to hear it. Drop it in the comments below.
We're Andy and Lauren. Thanks for watching Gainesville Who Knew? And if you enjoyed this one, hit subscribe. because the best stories are always the ones hiding right in your own backyard. If you enjoyed this and want the full story, check out the Gainesville Who Knew podcast. You can hear it on our website, GainesvilleWhoKnew.com. Click on the quick link that says podcast, or listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music.
Hit subscribe while you're here, because there are plenty more Gainesville stories where this came from.